Well, good morning. I had quite a night last night. So if I'm not speaking too well, it is because not only because English is my third language, but I also slept only 2 hours last night, and I will explain why. But I'll start with a little bigger picture and a little bit of a background story. So on April 25, 2025, my female cat Sparkle was stolen from my southeast end of the yard. So initially, three of the four cats were snatched, two were released, and it's gonna be coming about 6.5 months since Sparkle is missing. I do not know if she's alive, but I'm still hoping to get her back home. So prior to that, there was abuse in the neighborhood, including my cats when they were allowed to roam the yard, as they were shot at from neighbor's yard with BBs, rocks slung, and so forth. So for about 6.5 months since Sparkle went missing, I've been putting out food for cats and in hopes to get my own cat back home. So I've been feeding cats regularly, and I'm observing lots of things in Brandywine community, as it is named on Nextdoor App in northern Phoenix, Arizona. I've been observing lots of organized crime in respect to harassing neighborhoods and harassing community cats. And I'm not saying that lightly. This is lots of videos, lots of live views through the cameras, me being outside observing what is happening. And so this particular community has a very well organized perpetrator group that includes my next door neighbors, that includes people driving cars, people on foot, and this organized community cat abuse. These people are involving their children in the abuse. In this type of children involvement in the animal abuse is literally part of grooming for gang cartel, criminal cartel activity, grooming for human trafficking, making these children cold-hearted, making them not able to feel pain and suffering of others, making them have complete lack of compassion for others, and these kind of activities raise criminality rate in our country. And quite frankly, all of you know that really within a last years, lots of violence has escalated. You know, lots of people are shameless about robbing stores, breaking the doors in the stores, and whole gangs going in, robbing little children, trying to steal and threatening to call mother if they're not allowed to leave Walmart with the stolen goods. People being violent against each other for no good reason. There are lots of cases of innocent people being sucker punched, having severe injuries from just random violence. And part of that is lack of law enforcement, corruption in a law enforcement and judicial system. And here is a bigger picture, is that is actually used to turn this country into eventually socialist communist country where nobody has anything, people are violent towards each other and only ruling elites, well, you really cannot call them elites, but that's how it's usually phrased, lives a good life, and the rest of them basically are dealing with the Hunger Games. Majority of you do not know my background. I'm actually a medical doctor. I passed all my medical exams in the United States, and I grew up in a Soviet Union, and I had experienced what socialism, what freedom of speech control means, what are consequences in this kind of structure, because people could be sent to gulags for simply expressing their disagreement with government. But back to our community. So, for the 6.5 months, I've been watching what's happening in the community, hearing, seeing, looking through surveillance cameras, while feeding the cats, observing lots of cruelty, and that particular cruelty is terrorizing community cats that come eat to my property, shooting various projectiles from neighbors' yards at them, shooting from moving cars. There are also groups just on the bikes or e-bikes or just walking, doing the same thing, harassing cats, oftentimes chasing them, trapping them for more cruelty, chasing them away from them being able to eat. When I posted some of my short surveillance videos on Nextdoor App, I had some commenters coming in and saying that if I wouldn't feed these stray cats, I would not have problems with shooting at my house, various projectiles like nails, rocks, non-lethal rounds, things of that nature. I would not have problems, and that's not true, because my my own pets have been harassed in this neighborhood, and even now when they go out in the enclosure on my patio, they're still being harassed with projectiles shot at the enclosure. So this is not a people dislike for community cats being fed and somebody trying to take care of them, help them, and trying to help to control community cat situation. It is literally about people becoming more violent. People, for unknown reasons to me, are enjoying cruelty to their neighbors and to animals, innocent animals, who have absolutely nothing to do with their anger issues. But these people in community, when they see opportunity to harm these innocent community cats, the enthusiasm they show towards being violent against animals is absolutely mind-boggling. It is literally a level of severe mental illness. And my goal at this point is, despite the fact that Arizona state is extremely corrupt. Our law enforcement is extremely corrupt. Our judicial system is extremely corrupt. My goal is to catch these people one by one in the act and eventually put together bigger case against these community abusers, abusers of neighbors, abusers of animals. They need to be taken off the streets. If not as a group, one by one. And if nobody does anything, if nobody says anything, they'll become more and more violent. So don't be surprised that children get kidnapped off the street, because these kind of acts start with simple animal cruelty, and the children cruel towards animals eventually are very cruel towards other human beings. So they have no problem kidnapping another human, torturing, killing, trafficking, placing them into sex trafficking or illegal human organ trafficking or what else not. That is unfortunate situation, and if nobody does anything, if community does not speak up, if community doesn't change attitude, things will get worse. So I strongly believe that it is my duty to bring attention to these issues, and it is my duty to really put my time, effort, energy, my abilities to catch these people in the act and eventually put them where they belong, in prison. And I really hope this time, as a community is watching, I hope more and more people will come forward, more and more people will be willing to participate to stop these heinous activities, and they are heinous activities. And the reason really I'm making this video today is not only 6.5 months of observations in this community, but actually the string of events last night. And here is a good reason you are seeing this car in a picture, because it is one of the regular perpetrators, but I'll get explanation little more. What happened last night? Given my own cat is missing, and one of the cats coming is very similar looking to my missing cat, but there are so very much cats that look alike. So goal number one was if I can trap my own cat to return home. Goal number two is if I trap another animal. If that needs to be done, TNR, invest my own resources to do TNR and return the cat to community, so we don't have uncontrolled cat population. So they are still needed, these cats, in a community, because they do help to control rodent population. And quite frankly, cats are very lovely animals, very lovely. So that was the second goal. So obviously, if I would catch lactating mothers, that would be released right out. But if that's a pregnant female, then that would be, obviously, I would keep till I can place it in proper cat shelter, so she can give birth, and eventually she and kittens can be fixed, and kittens can be given away to good homes, and you know, female, if she's adoptable, again adopted to good home, taken off the street. So that's my goal, is to help with the community cats. And also I would love to take these cats away from this very, very abusive situation going on every day, literally every day. So what happened last night is I set the trap out in my feeding station, which is basically a wood table with two protective sides. When the projectiles are flying at the cats when they are eating, they would be protected from being hit with these projectiles coming from neighbors' yards and coming from moving cars or pedestrians who hide behind the bushes. So first cat came about little past 10 p.m. And by the way, what I had been observing for these 6.5 months, this abuser community is really watching these community animal movements. Here's a close watch on that. And when these animals approach my home, I hear certain activities starting to escalate. And that includes suddenly rocks start flying at my house to scare cats away from feeding station, roaring cars and motorcycles, shooting projectiles while driving by, children running around with making lots of loud noises and trying to scare these cats away. It's been a pattern. It's not just one night, it's been a pattern. So around 10 p.m. the first cat came. I call him Daddy Cat. He is a orange color cat. And he is very, very aware of the traps. But meanwhile, before this orange cat actually came anywhere close to the feeding station, cat was still at the very west end of my property. What I heard and seen on the video here was a barrage of slung rocks hitting my roof, making lots of noise. So the cat reached the corner of my porch, not far from feeding station, probably about maybe 6-8 feet. And cat stopped. And he was looking around. And I can see from cat's reaction that here are humans with bad intent, west, south, and east. So he wants to go. Of course, he is also afraid of a trap. I fully understand that. And but meanwhile, the shooting starts from my east neighbor's yard, hitting feeding station, hitting my roof, making noise. Cat is looking around, and right at that moment, he just doesn't have any direction to go. So he just pauses and just lays down and pays attention around what's going on, and he's not moving anywhere because there's no safe direction to move. So eventually on the east side, activity slowed down and cat decided to proceed eastward. Once this cat moved eastward, suddenly here was loud yelling by females, cheering, "Yay, we won!" So cat wasn't trapped in yard. Cat also didn't get the food. So cat is gonna be roaming neighborhood, being abused by the group of perpetrators. I guess it is a win for perpetrators because they can continue to terrorize this particular cat. So now I'm having my trap set out. I'm having a video camera facing trap. I have multiple other cameras watching surroundings, which actually makes these perpetrators less comfortable, because I already posted some videos of these drive-by shooters. Although you see car, you don't see license plate, you don't see face, but I'm sure they don't like being caught on a video, because that actually proves what I'm saying is true. So it took about till about 2 o'clock in the morning, around, I think it was around 2:08, 2:09. I hear suddenly activity increasing with cars and motorcycles. Here is this excitement in the perpetrator community building, and it's clearly audible. And when you've been watching for over 6 months these events unfolding, you clearly, when you hear these sounds, you know what's going on. You know that it's gonna be more harassment of another innocent community cat. So another community cat came again, before she arrived at the feeding station area. Here already projectiles were flying at this cat from neighbors' houses. But at this point, I'm already starting to watch the cars. I'm starting to watch the traffic on the road. And one of my cameras were turned towards corner of West Paradise Lane and 43rd Avenue. So on a live view, I saw this cat who was scared away from the feeding station, now crossing the road. And suddenly here is a speeding car coming from south, turning on West Paradise Lane, going eastward, going full speed, when suddenly this car notices the camera. And I mentioned before, my cameras are hacked, and I strongly believe that lots of this information is shared within this organized criminal group. So suddenly, from full speed, he stops in front of my neighbor directly across the street, like he belongs her. So this is a screenshot of this gorgeous looking car, really nice rims, and look at this wonderful light on the side right here. That is a searchlight. So when this car drives down the road, he can turn the light on to see, the cats I want to harass, what it is, because cat's eyes just glow in the dark. And so he was sitting there. And so I was facing camera straight at him. He was sitting for quite a while. I was recording live view. In the recording, you cannot hear all that well, but he was on the phone with his sounded female handler. And he was complaining that she has camera on me. Not the camera on him, but she has camera on me. Obviously he knows, it's a female that lives in that house. It wasn't a statement about, camera turned towards him, but he is mentioning that here is a female turning cameras and watching him. And when I heard the voice, this is a regular nighttime projectile shooter, drive-by shouting obscenities through the window when drives past my home. This is a regular actor in a community doing nighttime neighborhood harassment with a really noisy driving, and also abusing community cats. And of course, some of the abuse comes towards me, shouting obscenities, which, quite frankly, I don't take it personally, because I really have no expectations from a criminal. I expect criminal act as a criminal. So, you can shout F-bombs at me, what else not. It doesn't affect me, because I know that's just part of your nature. But particular driver, I have heard this voice many, many times. And I heard so many F-bombs yelled at me. It's a young male, below 20 or, in the 20s, but it is a young male. Very cocky. His attitude shows that he is entitled to commit crimes against people and animals. That's his attitude. Entitlement. Entitlement of a criminal, which we see way too often. So, if you see this car and you know this driver, please tell him he has been noticed. And if you could provide his information, like license plate number, VIN number would be even better. His picture, more information on him, that would be very nice, because we could stop or slow down another community harasser. We don't want these people terrorizing neighborhoods. Because who knows, maybe he is making his way up to kidnapping children from streets. He already got an attitude. That is not just about animals. It's not just about harassing me. It is all about whole community. Because the people who act like that, they go to bigger and more dangerous things. Put your children in danger, not just animals. And I'm gonna go to the video just to kind of show a little bit. And I have 2 videos of him. And given that also there are jammers used on my cameras, I basically took one video and stopped it and recorded another one, so I can save these videos before my camera gets jammed and the video just doesn't get saved, because it has happened before. So for me to preserve any kind of evidence, I have to be careful. I'm dealing with the hackers who are part of this organized crime group. So lots of the things happen on my devices. And this same group also use my hacked cellular surveillance cameras to harass these community cats through surveillance camera microphones. So I'm gonna go to the videos. I'm gonna move on a little bit on the way, out of the way, and so I'm gonna go and try to. So here is this lovely car parked in front of neighbor across the street trying to blend in like he is belonging in front of that house where he is not. And by the way, this is one of the few locations where these perpetrators love to station out of actual camera view, unless the camera gets turned these directions, to actually sit or shoot a community cat and then speed away. So he's right now on the phone with his handler, very unhappy. So I've been watching him for some time. So here is another car passing by. I'm kind of checking surroundings, and I'm gonna go to the, let me check if that's a video or, so eventually after sitting for a while, you will hear F you. And now watch his actions. There were a couple rounds discharged, and usually when they discharge these rounds or projectiles, here is a speed bump. So when they go over the speed bumps, they are trying to do discharge, so it covers the sound of the discharge. And that was a second round flying, whatever it was. So I have heard these F-bombs so many times from this guy. And I don't take it personally, but I would really like to take these nasty people off the street to stop crossing neighborhoods, to stop crossing and abusing animals. If you like to come on my channel and argue that you don't see this or that, or you don't hear that or this, you know, please feel free to see appropriate specialist you need to see better or hear better, or you know, if you have cognitive dissonance, please look up this term, you know, and you like to deny that things like these are happening in the neighborhoods, well, that becomes your problem. So, and if you are a troll, don't bother, you will be blocked. But this is actually happening in the neighborhoods. So the guy left about 2:19 in the morning, and I someplace have video of the cat, but it's right now not relevant. About similar time frame. So then it was a long waiting game till 5 a.m. when a different cat came. And that particular cat just like an orange cat, I had been feeding since May 1st. Well, orange cat might be even sooner, but certainly now I've had orange cat in May. So this particular cat showed up in my yard on May 1st, middle of the night. I was asleep. I heard my east neighbor calling my name. Knowing how nasty this family is, for my own safety, I did not venture out to figure out what he wants. But in the morning, I checked security cameras. So what I realized a couple hours later, that particular cat was released in my backyard, came from this property. So he arrived, he had a right rear paw injury. He was pretty chunky, hence I assumed he might have been stolen from somebody. And so I was feeding him initially in the backyard till he was chased out by, again, next door perpetrators. But he started coming to the front. He was missing for about 4 or 5 days, and I was concerned if he is still alive or she. It's a cat. I call him bamboo-like cat because a friend of mine had a very similar looking cat, but it's not his cat, and he lives hour away from me. And but anyways, this cat was missing, and this cat arrived 5 a.m. at the feeding station. I was very happily surprised to see him. I was happy to know he's still alive. And of course, just like all these community cats, he was familiar with the traps, but he was tempted to go closer again. Before his arrival, that's a pattern. The cat is coming, things start hitting feeding stations, so they are trying to scare these cats from coming anywhere close. So the cat comes closer to the setup trap, and things start flying at him. From neighbors, from cars, and of course cat runs away. With this particular cat, I did post petco.lovelost.org. Initially in May, I posted on Nextdoor. Nobody has responded. I think about a month ago, I posted about this cat on Petco site. So if I would have trapped this cat, of course, I would be doing taking to the vet. It needed to be fixed, it would be fixed, and likely I would be trying to reach out if there is anybody owning this cat. I have ability to hold this cat separately from my other cats, but I do suspect this cat has been stolen somewhere, and who knows how long time ago. His arrival in my backyard might have been a long time after he's been abused someplace else. I don't know that. So this cat was scared away. And knowing that once in a while I have cats appearing in my backyard past 6 a.m., you kind of observe the times they come. And 90% of the times you will see only one cat at a time. And oftentimes, when I've had cats in May, they would come, female cats would come during the day to eat. I would make sure the food is out. And other cats would come mostly in the dark, but they would be watching me putting out food and hurrying to get some food. The situation has drastically changed with abuse in the neighborhood. So, and strangely, these cats come at pretty random times. Like, I was surprised, particular cat not to see for 4 or 5 days, showing him back up. Orange cat was missing for a day or two. You know, I had probably a week where only 2 cats were coming, and I was concerned about their well-being. So this cat gets chased away. I was like extremely tired. I was sitting ready to fall asleep. But you know, I have my camera watching the feeding station, watching the trap, because I would never leave trap alone outside. Would never leave it unsupervised. I'm sitting, and if I'm not watching the trap, that trap is going inside, because I'm not gonna take a risk these abusers taking animal and actually causing harm to the animal. So I'm watching, literally watching the trap close up. So around past 6 o'clock, again, I hear the typical signs that cat is in the vicinity, dogs are barking, community perpetrators are getting activated, engines revved, motorcycles revved. You hear neighbors nearby getting all sick arousal from another animal to be abused coming. They literally get aroused. They get so excited. And what was even weirder, my east neighbors, well, they have some Russian people now staying with them, and as I mentioned in other videos, I also now have Russian hacker voices on my devices, and also I had Russian boys driving by and screaming death threats and obscenities. So some of the stuff going on in the Russian language, which is my second language. So I hear Sunday morning, 6 a.m., adults and children are in their front yard 6 a.m. on Sunday. Russian children, Hispanic children speaking English with adults, and obviously cat was approaching someplace from east direction coming towards my house, this time not from west. At some moment, it is suddenly major commotion. I hear a guy in Russian language telling the child, hit lower. So looked like he was teaching that child how to shoot at another community animal. And with all this commotion, the jammers were used. My cameras were shut down. I couldn't open any other camera to see what's happening. After commotion ended, no cat arrived, but here was quite a bit celebration in that yard. So that particular cat did not make to the feeding station. And of course, after that followed a mockery of me. Well, of course, they're not mentioning my name, but you do know it's a mockery. So children and adults alike, they're so enthusiastic about all this abuse. They're such a good participants in a criminal enterprise abusing neighbors and animals. so enthusiastic to make their way up, probably to human trafficking level. So as I was watching these events unfolding tonight, you have to think about future of our country. If these groups continue to grow, groom children for crime, well, we are gonna have some cartel country here, but nobody will be safe. Cartel will be the government. And everything I'm observing here in my own neighborhood, literally in totality, so it all falls under RICO Act. Hacking, organized harassment, community harassment, very well coordinated group. This literally falls under RICO Act, but Arizona has very kind of a weak RICO laws. Hacking is it's actually a federal violation, but here are some nuances on that. But anyways, if people start paying attention, if people start coming together to stop these kind of violent things in our neighborhoods, disrespect for neighbors, we will do much better. But if the people decide, well, it's not affecting me directly, therefore I'm not gonna step on anybody's toes, so I'm not getting affected by that, well, that type of attitude is basically supporting the crime. So please think and act accordingly. Please think about future of our country, but these criminal enterprises, these criminal community enterprise need to be stopped, because kidnapping children, selling them in a sex trafficking or black organ market is the next step up from abusing animals and neighbors. So that's why I'm doing that, and somebody has to start somewhere. If nobody does anything, nothing will get anywhere, so I'm taking responsibility on myself to start this. Well, I'm not really starting, but really in respect to this neighborhood, it is starting this movement to make sure we can live in a peaceful, lawful country, but people respect each other, where people treat each other with care and kindness, where we can actually have a wonderful future, not the future of criminal cartels destroying neighborhoods and whole country. On this note, I wish you all a wonderful day. I wish you all God's blessings. And I'm asking Lord, our God, our Savior, to help these community and animal harassers to change their ways in life and become good people in a community. On this, I'm signing off. Have a wonderful day.